What's going on with home prices, inventory, and foreclosures on a national level? I'm Tony Guerin with RE/MAX Select Professionals, Guarantee.com. Results that move you. I want to thank you for joining me today. Prices are up the first quarter of 2023, leaving some to ask the question, is the worst home price decline behind us? Well, if you're listening to the news, you may be hearing things like the worst isn't here yet, or you should expect home prices to decline. But that is not what the facts are showing. This graph shows the month-over-month change in home values. Major forecasters Chase Schiller, FHFA, and CoreLogic all show home prices diving downward in February, March of last year. And from January, February of this year, home values started to gain traction and increase in value, which is refreshing news for homeowners wondering what's happening with prices all over the country. Andy Walker with Black Knight said this: just 5 months ago, prices were declining on a seasonally adjusted month-over-month basis in 92% of all major U.S. markets. Fast forward to March, and the situation has done a literal 180, with home prices now rising in 92% of markets from February. Fannie Mae even changed their minds with the home value forecast. In March, they predicted home values to drop 4.2% in 2023, but then in April, they lowered that number to 1.2%, and I think that this number will eventually go flat and head into positive percentages because of a few different factors, including lack of inventory. On a national level, we are currently in a seller's market with less than 6 months of supply, and foreclosures has also been a hot topic. Adam states here that U.S. foreclosure activity continues to climb in quarter one of 2023. Recent news stories have also had scary headlines such as, more Americans are losing their homes as foreclosures on U.S. properties rise. And U.S. foreclosure filings jumped 22%, and repossessions hit highest level in 3 years. Although all these headlines are factual, they're a bit misleading. What I mean by that is there are over 1 million fewer foreclosures in the last 3 years than there were heading into 2020. The average amount of yearly foreclosures throughout 2017 and 2020, which we are looking at these years because they're more of a normal market than 2021 and 2022. But looking at these years, the average amount of foreclosures a year was 598,118. In 2023, there were still 273,884 foreclosures short of the average in a regular market. Whoever was making these bold headlines obviously didn't look at this graph, which shows that foreclosure filings are still lower than in the past 20 years. In addition, we knew foreclosure filings would eventually increase once the moratorium ended. Claire Trapazzo said this: there's no reason to panic, at least not yet. Foreclosure filings began ticking up in the late 2021 after the federal foreclosure moratorium ended. The moratorium was enacted in the early days of COVID-19 when millions of Americans lost their job to prevent a tsunami of homeowners losing their properties. So in conclusion, the market looks like it's gaining momentum with prices increasing, homes are in short supply, and foreclosures are starting to pick up as well, but we are expecting after the moratorium ended. But it's really being blown out of proportion in the news, for the time being anyway, right? So, hey, I'm Tony Guerin with RE/MAX Select Professionals, Guarantee.com. Results that move you. All right, thanks for watching. I'll see you around.